And we're back on planet, my friends. Welcome back to The Green Hand. Today, we're going to be diving into trains, showing you how to make some intersections and expanding our rail network here on planet. So we're going to start out with a quick primer on how trains work. I will be honest with you. They're kind of hard to get your head around sometimes. And so don't feel bad or ashamed if you can't figure it out. It took me a bit of time too. So what we've done so far in this guided playthrough is build out a pretty long two-way rail system moving on out towards this coastline here where a lot of our oil lies. And this is where our main base is going to be, where our shopping mall is going to be, where all our items are flowing into, and where we make some pretty complex parts, to be honest. So it's a two-way rail system because it's more efficient. This one is always going to be driving on the right-hand side. It's just right-hand side either way, really. So we're going out to the west here. We will only ever be going out to the west on this rail here. And if we're coming backwards, we will only ever be coming back again on the right-hand side to the east this way here. So this gives us a lot of flexibility because you can have trains running in opposite directions without running on the same track. You'd have to build some pretty complex intersections to be able to deal with that. And we're going to build somewhat complex intersections ourselves here. So what we need to do, look at our guy here. He's just coming by to give us some luck. He knows how hard trains can be sometimes. We still need to build him a factory. So please comment on what factory should the ray be flying through. So I've painted out the ground here to show you how to build probably the most useful complex intersection in the game, which would be the T intersection. So what I've done, I'm just going to build it out really quickly. We just need a segment of rail right here. So these will represent our sort of overall network coming from the west over here, and this will represent our network coming from the east. These are all spaced on 3 foundations. So there's going to be the middle of foundation 1 here, a gap, and then foundation 3 right here. Ignore the offset rails here. These are not part of the system. And so this will be our main line, right? Imagine we want to go this way basically for infinity, and we also want to go this way for infinity, but we want to pull off this way to the north over here. How do we actually do that so that a train moving any direction can either go in or come out of this station over here, which we will also build? So what we need to do is follow that 90-degree rule for trains. And that rule is that to get a perfect 90, you need to go up 3 and over 3 and then connect, and you'll get a perfect 90 degrees. So that's how we're going to do it here, but it's more complex because it's not just one rail. We're doing it with 2 rails, 2 entrances, and 2 exits. So sometimes I like painting out the foundations here, especially for the sake of illustration, because it makes this a whole lot easier. So let's take a look at how to build this out. First off, we have this rail, which will be going out this way, right? So the first thing we want it to be able to do is go into the station on a right-hand drive, which means it needs to go from here over to there. Simple enough, right? So that is very, very simple. Now, what we also need to be able to do is have this one go over to here. Why? Well, because this would be an example of a train line coming out and running down this way. Remember, right-hand drive. Okay, so we've solved this side of our network. We have a line that can now enter the station, and we have a line that can now exit the station, both from or to the east, right? Let's solve the same thing over here. So this is our right-hand drive westerly line here. So basically, we want the ability for it to be able to come out of the station. It would be coming out this way. So that means it's going to go right there. Okay. This one is going to be going out to the east, right-hand drive. So we need it to be able to go into the station here on the right side. The final thing we need to do is, what if they don't even want to go to the station at all? Well, that's great. That's totally fine. We're going to go from here to here. This connects our main line going out to the west. And then we're going to go from here to here. This connects our main line going out to the east. So now I'm just going to be really pedantic and be every single one of these trains so you can understand it. So here we go. I'm a train, choo-choo, and I'm coming through and I want to go straight. Well, that's no problem. I already solved that. I'm just riding on through. No big deal. Okay. Let's go back over here. I'm the train. and I want to go into the station. No problem. I can do that by just going right here. Okay, so I've solved that direction. Now let's imagine that I'm at the station, which would be somewhere over here, and I want to leave it, and I want to go to the west. Well, that's no problem. I can just curve around this way. Boom, I'm going to the west. Okay, nope, I want to go to the east. Change my mind. No problem. I can go this way, and I'm going out to the east. Again, making sure everything is on right-hand drive. Otherwise, you're running some serious collisions. So it's really fairly simple. Now, where it gets complicated, or what a lot of people can get confused by, is how to build up the intersections so that no trains crash into one another. So this is where I'm going to pop another lookout tower down and really break it down for you. If there's one golden rule in Train Satisfactory, it would be that when you're using your block and path signals, especially for an intersection that's complex, like for example, what if you just had two trains going straight, one that wanted to go this way and one that wanted to go this way? You wouldn't really want this whole block to be blocked off and only one could go through, because they'll never hit each other, right? They're on two opposing lines. So you should be able, I'm just going to build them for you. You should be able to have a train right there and a train right there at the same time, right? Because they will never hit each other. This is why these intersections can be a little complicated. You would also want a train that is, let's say, leaving the station right there. You'd want this train to also be able to come in, because again, these will never hit each other. This locomotive is going to go out this way on the track on the right-hand side of where it's headed out to the west. This one is going to be coming in on the right-hand side of where it's headed out to the east, and now, of course, coming into the station. So how do you solve that with block and path signals? It's actually simpler than it looks. So first of all, look at what happens when you start building signals. You see all these colors show up. In fact, there's only one color right now. So what I'm going to do is any place you are entering an intersection. So entering, I'm going to be entering from this side, going out this way sometimes, or going over this way. So this right here is an entrance. This is not an entrance because this is right-hand drive. So this is on the left side. I would never be driving out of the station on this side. I'd only be coming out this way. So on an entrance, you want to put a path signal. So there's my path signal, right? On an exit of the intersection, you want to put a block signal. So where can I exit from this entrance? There's two places, right? I can first exit right over here. Let's just make sure we get that right. I can exit right over there as I go out this way, right? So let's pop a block signal right there. Another important thing about placing these paths and block signals down is that they are directional. So if it's on the right-hand side, you will be moving forward. It's signaling sort of forward for you, just like this one is. You would not want to put it on the left-hand side of the rail if you're on right-hand drive. You just don't want to do that. It should always be on the right side. What we've done here is we've created a path signal and we've put a block signal on one of the potential exits of this intersection. But there's another way that you can exit, right? You could also go out here and end over there. So let's go ahead and put a block signal over there on the right-hand side. And now we have solved this entrance to the intersection. There's one entrance on this side and there's two potential exits right there and right there. So let's solve another one. Remember, we would never enter from this side, so we don't have to worry about any signaling here. We would, however, enter from this side. So what we'll do is we'll put a path signal on the right-hand side of this entrance, which is great. And then where can we exit from this part of the rail? Well, we've already solved one of them. If you go straight, you can exit right over here, which we've already put a block signal on because it happens to be the exit of another entrance. But we haven't solved if I come in from here. So let's just follow this down. Well, this would be the end, so I'd put a block signal right there. Okay. Now, is there another entrance that we can solve? Yes, there is, from this side. So again, I know it's repetitive, but it takes a while to get your brain around how the trains work. So again, entrance, because it's right-hand side, we place a path signal. Boom, there it is. Now, how can I get out of this intersection now? Well, we've already actually solved it because there's our block signal for going into our future station there. And if we did want to go straight, there's our block signal for getting out. And I'm going to pull a block signal up just so you can see how the coloration works. So look what the game has done. You'll notice that this entire intersection is one block right there. It's the same color. Whereas this little chunk is a different color. This chunk is a different color. This chunk over here, if I float over there, sometimes it's a little hard to see, but you can see a clear line delineating there. Same with that one. And we've got a nice little demarcation line right there. Sometimes it's hard to see. I'm a little bit colorblind myself. But what we've done is create a perfectly functional two-way rail T intersection. Now, you'll probably be wondering, why are these blinking? Well, it's because every single block signal has to be ended somehow. So there's no block signal in front of it, and this rail technically just randomly ends. So if we pop this signal open, it'll say the block has no exit signal. And now we can solve that in a fake way by just extending this rail a touch. So this secondary signal that I'm placing right here, this represents sort of the infinite track that lays in front of you, right? Because of course this will eventually end at some sort of train station or loop or something like that. So now that this signal looks broken, that's actually irrelevant. Just pretend like it's not and pretend like it actually ends somewhere proper. And we're going to do the same thing on these ones. Okay, so now if we look at the original signals that we laid out, we can see that they all function. So this one's saying, hey, don't go right now. This one's saying it's fine to go, right? There's no errors on any of our original signals that we placed. So I have rebuilt the entire T intersection that I just showed you, and we're going to walk through it in a real life example now that I've got my train network going. So what I'm doing right now is heading on over to the main base because you need an endpoint. Otherwise, your train will get stuck. In a two-way system, you have to have a closed loop in the direction that you're going. So from our starter base, we were just at, to our main base over there, I needed to build a quick train station over here. Otherwise, the train just simply wouldn't have worked. I'm also using 4 freight cars because that's about the maximum you can use without running into any issues when you're going uphill. So always cap out at 4. Do not build any more than that. So here we come up on our main base. This is our future main base site. We're slowing down because the train knows it needs to stop here. Now, of course, if I had freight to unload, I would have built some freight platforms, but I don't. So I'm not going to worry about that. And it's just going to keep on going. I put a block signal before and after the train station. Always a good idea to block off your train stations as actual individual blocks, which means you need one before and after the station. So now we're on right-hand drive. Again, going back to our starter base, and we're going to see how the intersection we set up works. Now, I do think it's a good idea to break your blocks up a little more than I have now. As it stands, this entire stretch of track that we're driving down, either the way we're driving now or when we were driving out, is technically one block. So it's a good idea to pop some block signals down throughout your train network. But this is assuming, you know, we're going to pull off of this network and go in different directions. So we'll build other intersections. So I don't think it's that big of a deal. Okay, here we come up on our main station. So you can see that our path signal is green, signaling that there's nothing going in between here. We're green here, we're green going into our station because there's nothing in front of us, and we're good to go. And I built 4 freight cars, and I built 4 freight stations for the 4 freight cars that we theoretically could unload here. So we're docking, we have nothing to do, and we're going to head out to the next station once we're done. And it is off. So this will infinitely loop for us. And I'm going to get back up on the lookout tower and just show you how I built the looping return. You guys let me know if I'm being too in detail here, but I swear when I first started trying to figure out trains, I felt like no one was explaining it right and I couldn't get enough. So again, here's what we have. We have a T intersection where we're right-hand driving through. So if we are coming from this direction, we can go into the station and loop back out and either come back out to the east like this, or loop back out to the west like this. Or, you know, in the future, we could even build a 4-way intersection, which I'll probably show you in a different video. So we've solved this one, right? Our signals look like they're working. We can come in this way and go out either way, right? Okay, what if we are coming in from this way? Well, we can come in this way, go in, and once we go in, if we know our loop's built correctly, we know that we can return. So we're coming in this way, and we will loop around. We can go out to the east like this, or we can go back out to the west. And of course, if trains going either direction just didn't want to stop at the station at all, they don't have to. This one can just cruise on through on the straight rail, and this one can just cruise on through on the straight rail as well. So in the end, it is simple if you remember the golden rule, which would be anytime you are coming into a complex intersection, path signal. Anytime you get to that exit, block signal. Again, path signal coming in right here, block signal right there going out, and a block signal right there going out. And then always remember, create a block for your station. So I have a block starting here, ending here. Now, let me just show you. You can only see this if you pull out a block signal to build, but the visuals on the colors, to me, I find pretty helpful as long as you're not colorblind. We can see that this block signal marks the beginning of this little block. Now, this is just its own little block because, of course, we have another block signal here that's separating out the train station as this nice green line. And then this block signal here ends the green block and begins a different color here, this blue one, until we get to this path signal, which splits that into another block. And you'll notice that this entire intersection is a red block. So you might be saying, well, how does this work then? Because I thought that, you know, if something's in a block, then nothing else can be in the block. Well, the path signal allows a train to sort of reserve a path. So when this train comes out, it's going to reserve the path going this way because it's going on over to our main base, right? So then the game knows, hey, if this train's coming in and reserving a path going straight, I know that this one does not overlap with this one. So I can allow both into the block because the paths, or the sort of sub blocks is a way to think about it, are themselves clear. So we technically could have 3 trains coming through this. We could have a train going like that, going into the station. We could have a train leaving the station, and we could have a train going straight through, all on reserved paths. And just for some extra credit, this is what a 4-way intersection looks like with a train station on that side. So you can imagine a world where you have a lot of these types of intersections, and you've got, you know, these lines running out, let's say over there to our quartz factory, over to the north over here, that's our Caterium factory right there, our quick wire over there. We've got our motors over there. And so you can start saying, hey, I want to bring all this stuff to one location, or perhaps for one of the future items that we need to make, which we may make in the next episode, so make sure to subscribe, we might go ahead and try to make the heavy encased frame, or the heavy modular frame as the base recipe. So for that, let's say I wanted to do the heavy encased frame, I'm going to need modular frames, encased industrial beams, steel pipes, and concrete. Now, concrete, pretty easy to find on site, but our encased industrial beam factory is right here, and our modular frames are right over here. And so unless I'm going to rebuild that from scratch, which it's definitely a possibility, I need to figure out a way to get my modular frames, which you can see right over there, my encased industrial beams, which are over there, to a place that's got some concrete and some steel pipes. So my steel pipes are over there. So until you get a very advanced form of transport, which would be the drone systems, or you're just trucking stuff all around the map, trains are the way to go. And learning how these intersections work is by far the unlock. Because once you can get your head around intersections and pulling off of intersections to train stations, making sure trains can get back on your main line like this, then you've really solved trains. And it gets into the nuances of how do you actually build the tracks so that they look good. And we'll probably go into that in a future video as well. So this has been The Green Hand. Welcome to the series. If you're new, I suggest you watch it from the beginning. The videos are getting better every single day. And if you guess who I am, I'm a YouTuber with 3.5 million subscribers. I will buy the first person a copy of Satisfactory. I'll see you next time. Green Hand out.